Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. In today's video we're going to be tackling a few different areas. This video is going to be a turning point for the series because we have shown that we have survived the beginning of Timberborn so far. We have some of the basics under control. It looks like we have a decent amount of wood. We have many trees that have grown up, and then food and water are both in a great spot. We added in a couple of these large water pumps in the most recent episodes. So now we're not in the mode of survival, but we want to expand our colony and make sure that we continue to advance. I have a lot of plans for this entire world, and I'm very excited to share those with you guys. But before we get there, we are going to have to get some of the basics that will be able to move us in the right direction. First and foremost, we have 50 treated planks, and we don't have any storage for it. We do have this underground pile that is in construction at the moment, but we need to bump that up to the highest priority, make sure they can get that sorted immediately, because you can see this guy is sitting around. He's not producing any more treated planks. So once they get this building constructed, we can continue to accumulate some more of those. And previously I said that I thought that this was all the housing that we would need to construct. I am going to remove both of these and then duplicate this guy, so we'll have another lodge on top. But this is not all the housing that we will actually need. I'm going to unlock the double lodge, 450 signs, and then start placing some down over here. For now, we'll just stick with 2 more, and each of these buildings will hold an additional 6 beavers, which we still have 10 vacant jobs. We do have 6 children, so they will grow up soon and provide some more workers. But with everything that I have planned, we are going to actually need more beavers than anticipated. And so as soon as we add in these stairs and platforms, then they should have access to those buildings once they construct them. So right now we're doing pretty good on resources, although we are running a little bit short on logs. We do have about 250 at the moment, so we're not in a bad spot. We're not experiencing a wood shortage. We do have a bunch of trees over here that have grown up, and we aren't really able to tap into them right now since we have so few workers. And then we're also running a little bit short on gears. Metal blocks are looking alright, but I do want to get both of these buildings turned on. And this building is a medium chance of injury job. I believe the gear workshop is also medium chance. So we're going to have some more injured beavers if we toss them into here. So that is part of the reason why we want to get those extra houses constructed. And then as we get more beavers in this world, we're going to have more food for them. So we do have these farmhouses up here. I only have 2 workers in them at the moment, but soon we'll need to bump how many workers are in each of these. We might even need to unpause this 3rd farmhouse. And then we do have the hauling post, which is a little bit short on workers. And lastly, we have the builder's hut, which only has 2 beavers. Ideally, I want to have at least 1 more builder's hut that's fully staffed. So with all of those buildings, you can see why I wanted to get these houses constructed. We now have 18 free beds. So hopefully in the next few days, they'll start to produce some more baby beavers. And then as they grow up, they can hop into some of those jobs that I just mentioned. And then today, we're also going to be building this area out. So if we go to the science tab, we're going to finally unlock the bot part factory for 500 science, and then do the same for the bot assembler. And then we'll also need to get that refinery unlocked. Now the bot part factory requires 25 gears each, and then the bot assemblers require 50 gears. So we do not have enough right now. We'll need to actually unpause this gear workshop immediately so we can start racking up some extra gears. But you can see there's no available workers in this district. So we now have 14 jobs that are vacant. We can reduce how many workers are in the observatory down to 2 for now. I just paused one of the lumber mills. And then we are just about maxed out on grilled chestnuts. I saw this guy sitting around at the end of the day. Don't have any grilled potatoes, so let's actually switch him over to that for now. We'll let him accumulate some of those, and then we can switch back and forth. And then we do have a bad tide approaching in 1.5 days. I just bumped the large water pump up to 3 beavers so we can max out our water before then. And then since it is a bad tide, we will have the bad water flowing through here, providing some constant power through these water wheels. And then we also added in the gravity batteries and the windmills in the last episode. So I'm hoping between these 3 we'll be able to have constant power. We do have all of these still automated based off of the flow sensor. So I'm going to actually change that. We have another 1-day bad tide, which will honestly go by pretty quickly. But we'll see how our gravity batteries are at the very end, since we're only producing about half of the power that we need. And now we have a whopping 16 children. We have 9 unoccupied beds. So we still have room for more babies. And then I am seeing that we have a few injured beavers. I think we have 4 medical beds for them. But then most of the beavers are around 50%. We have a few that are at 95, 96%. So we should have some more kids growing up pretty quickly. And with the bad tide over, we only went down 1,500 maybe in terms of the power for each of the gravity batteries. But now we have the water that is returned. There's a little bit of flooding, but this might be enough to sustain us for a little while. Although with the buildings that I want to place down here, all of these bot part factories and assemblers, they're a little bit power intensive because they require 150 or 250 power a pop. So it's going to put a bit more strain on our system. It might be worth adding in some more windmills on the other side. I also do want to extend this and have it connect over, but we'll need to wait until we get dirt unlocked for that. And then my big picture plan is to have some water wheels all the way up top. We're going to actually do quite a bit of excavation for this part of the mountain, and then we'll have some switchbacks and get some water wheels placed down, which is going to provide a ton of power, but the whole process is going to take quite a while to get it constructed. So I think in the meantime, we'll have kind of a miniature version of that with some water wheels over here. And then I do want to have the bad water go around, and I think I'll keep it elevated so it's not mixing with the water down here. And then we can chuck it out through this chute and collect a good amount of power on the way. And now we only have 3 unoccupied beds. We have 17 children. We do have 7 free jobs still, but I don't think that we'll have a problem filling up any of these other jobs. As soon as some more... Okay, we just had a bunch of kids grow up actually. And then I do see there's a builder sitting around here and here. So now we can look at actually placing down some of those bot part factories and the bot assemblers. We have a decent amount of gears, not as many as we need, but we can just start getting some of these basics down. So there was a tragedy. I may have accidentally killed a beaver. I thought I was timing it so he wouldn't get exploded. I did get an achievement for it. I don't really love that, but I hope he disappears soon. It makes me feel so bad. But I'm adding in a few other buildings. We do have the refinery. We can reduce that down to 2 workers for now. And then I am going to get another zipline station up top. We're going to connect that into one over here. And then I can finally unlock the spiral staircase. We do have treated planks. And it's not really that much science. And then taking a look at the ruins over here, we only have 6 pieces of scrap metal left. Each of them, I guess each of the ruins do contain more than 1 piece of scrap metal, but we only have 6 of the ruins left over here. So we are running a little bit short on that. The final spot to collect scrap metal is going to be over here before we move on to the underground ruins, which is an unlimited supply. But we have to unlock that. It costs 4,000 science to get the mine constructed, and then a bucket of gears and treated planks, and then we have to constantly be using treated planks in order to produce that scrap metal. And then on top of that, this is a high chance of injury job, so I'm going to wait until the very end to get this place down. I think that the amount of scrap metal we have in here should give us enough time to get the bots up and running. And then once we have bots who are working in some of the dangerous jobs like these ones, then we can also get the mine unlocked and then have some more bots working in here to help prevent the injuries from happening. And now we're starting to have some unemployed beavers, which is excellent. We can get some more beavers over here. Let's unpause this forester, and then let's just do 3. We can just do all 4. We'll just do all 4 of this lumberjack flags because our wood is looking okay, but it'd be nice to have a little bit more stored up. I am taking a look at our power network, and even when we have all of these guys running, we do have all the windmills going. We're only producing a little bit more power than we need, and as soon as we start getting these guys connected in, because you can see they are not in the power system yet, we're going to have a lot more power that we need to generate. I do have a couple more windmills that I want to add in, but I don't think that's going to be enough. We might need to add in some more water wheels down here. Long term, this is not going to be where I want to have water wheels, but for now it should be pretty easy to connect those in. And then part of why I want to get the bots up and running so quickly is because I want to get the dirt excavator unlocked, which is also going to be a pretty resource intense building. But once we start getting dirt collected, that's going to be huge for the progress in this world, because a lot of what I want to do over here is going to require using dirt in order to build out part of the mountain, specifically on this side. So we can't really do a whole lot until we get dirt unlocked there. We could start clearing out some of the trees, but that's also going to require some more workers. So I'm hoping in the next season or so we'll have a good amount of workers where we can start tossing them into some of the jobs over here. They might not be as pressing, but it is something that we will need to do. And you can see they are just about done with that scrap metal. So we do actually need to get some sort of path system set up over here. Ideally, I want to get another zipline station into this area, but we don't have the cleanest path to get there right now. So we can remove just a few trees. Thankfully, most of them are pretty young, so it's not that much of a loss. And then as soon as we add in the stairs, now this is all connected in. And then I'll probably actually terminate this a little bit earlier, because this path is just so that we can actually get the zipline station constructed. Looks like this one is still within range, so we can add that connection. And then we can add in we'll do 4 scavenger flags. We'll have 2 of them as normal priority, and then we'll have 1 of them for lower, and then 1 will be the lowest. And lastly, we'll add in 1 staircase, which will give them access to over here. Obviously right now they wouldn't be able to get over here because this guy is blocking it. But by the time they need to reach the scrap metal down here, they will obviously have removed all of this stuff. And now there's only 2 pieces left. So we can actually get rid of this guy. Looks like it's actually worked out. He's not even in here right now. And then they did chop down all the trees over here that were marked for cutting. So we can pause all of these guys. I think we have another lumberjack flag over here. But that does free up a few workers who have gone into the jobs that they need to. I think some of them are actually in these inventors' huts. But they are all lowest priority since we do have the observatory, which produces way more science. So if we see 6 vacant jobs, then that is okay. And right now we only have 1 vacant job, so we can switch around some of these other ones. I think it's time we get another builder's hut set up, so we can place it right next to the original one. We'll make this the highest priority, and then that's going to make all these other buildings get constructed so much faster. And then I also want to start setting some more storage up top. So we're going to actually remove everything up here. We'll have all the dynamite placed down. I am going to move this to a lower priority because they don't really need to work on this yet. This is something I want to work on in the background. But we can add in some more of these underground piles. We're going to go all the way to the corner. And for now, we'll just start with 2 of them. And another reason we want to get some extra workers, since we do have 8 children right now and only 6 vacant jobs, plus we have another 6 beavers that are going to be in this double lodge. That is going to put us above what we have right now in terms of jobs, although I do have a bunch of these buildings paused. But all of these are high chance of injury jobs, which means we're going to have a lot more beavers that are incapacitated. We should probably get some more medical beds set up preemptively. And we have yet another bad tide. I think that's the 3rd one in a row, but the last one was 1 day long. I'm guessing this one's going to be probably 3 or 4 days long. And then our water actually looks like it's pretty steady right now. We're at just about 2,500. I am going to unpause this guy. We'll have 1 beaver in here for now. I think that should be enough to top us off. And I think they both should be automated, so they will pause when the bad tide hits because there won't be any water flowing through here. And we are almost done with the scrap metal. I'm actually going to just get rid of 1 of these guys because we can have 1 of the beavers get the rest of this. We do have a decent amount of scrap metal stored up. So we'll have this guy finish working on both of these. And then by the time he's done, we might have gotten these paths set up. We can always bump this up on the priority list. In fact, let's at least make it so we can have some workers over here. I'll have 1 of the scavenger flags set to highest priority so they can construct all of that. Then we can shift some beavers over here. And there's still a lot that we're working on. I did add in some more water wheels like I mentioned before to help with our power situation. I have another gear workshop that's going to be constructed. And then probably not now, but soon we will get a centrifuge. We'll place it right up here. But we're kind of just tossing stuff in where we can fit it. Since we don't have a whole lot of real estate to work with, we have pretty much maxed out all the space we can over here. But I am very excited for what this is going to look like down the road. Before recording, I did a little bit of planning, and I did mention the water wheels over here, which is going to look super cool. But then I have another part of that whole system that I'm not going to reveal quite yet. And then I do want to have it go through the middle. We're going to reshape how we want to have this river looking. And then it's going to continue all the way through here. We'll also be separating the bad water, which will mean that we'll have a bunch of clean water flowing through here. We'll probably build out some of the dirt and allow us to plant even more trees over here. And now we have all of these buildings constructed. I think it's time we start unpausing them, and then pretty soon we can have some bots going. And we want to make sure, this is only at 2 right now. I want to get that up to 4 so that we can start saving up our science. Because I am going to want to switch these jobs as fast as possible to have bots working in here instead of beavers. It normally takes a lot of time to get that science saved up, but with the observatory it's going to go much faster. Although we do still have some beavers who are missing. Let's reduce one of these builders' huts to a lower priority, since it would be nice to have some extra builders, but this is the third builder's hut we have if you include the district center, which is hidden behind some of our storages. But we do have the 4 workers in there, plus 4 workers in this second builder's hut. So this can be an interim job for the beavers. Once we have enough bot limbs, heads, and chassis to get a full bot constructed, then we can unpause one of these guys, and then eventually we'll unpause the second one. The bad tide is 3 days long, and soon we'll have both of these guys get paused. But I think they're the only thing tied to this flow sensor now. I added in another one so that we can have the bad water pumper continue to pump when we have bad water coming through the system. And honestly, we probably don't need him working full time. The beavers did manage to construct the additional wind turbines, and you can see that charged these guys up during the night pretty quickly. And then we also have these guys connected in. We do need to get the dynamite placed down so that we can actually have these water wheels be part of the system. And then we do have enough bot parts in order to get a bot constructed. So we just unpause the bot assembler, and we'll just leave the one unpaused for now. We are running a little bit short on workers at the moment. Oh, and I think I know why. We did add in all 4 of these guys. So we have 2 of them that are lowest priority, and then we have a couple more over here. Let's check back on our first scrap metal collector. Way in the distance you can see that he is not doing anything, so we can get rid of him. And then once we start getting a few bots, we should be able to fill in some of those jobs. We can start getting some of these trees chopped down. We'll go all the way up top and do the same up here. And they're also starting to construct some of the dynamite over here. We have just over 100 dynamite stored up. And you can see we just constructed our first bot. He doesn't know what he needs to do. I think that one of the free jobs, because they give you a few of them you can just toss bots into, we'll have him work in the lumberjack flag for now. Since we are running a little bit short on wood, and then we do have a good amount of biofuel stored up, this is still maxed out. I think they've been taking from here for now. So it's going to take a while before we go through our biofuel stores. We'll turn this guy on periodically. We have a good amount of potatoes stored up, and it is one of the more efficient recipes. And then we can unpause both of these guys. We will switch both of them to be bots, and then we'll just have one of them be normal, and then we'll go down in priority for these ones. We're almost at 5,000 science, which means very quickly we'll be able to switch this guy in the bot part factory from being beavers to bots. And then we do need to actually bump all of these jobs up on the priority list. And part of why we have so many jobs that are vacant is because we now have 9 incapacitated beavers. That might even exceed how many medical beds we have. Looks like we only have 8. Oh wait, we have a 9th one under here. So we are perfectly balanced, which I don't know if we really want it to be balanced. But we can get 3 more constructed right here. Yeah, we're going up in incapacitated beavers. We now have 11 as soon as we can. In fact, we actually just hit that threshold. So now we can switch this guy over to be bots. And then we're going to have all of these. Well, we can actually do this as normal because I did bump all of these guys up on the priority list. And then it looks like our water is slowly starting to go back up. I think we were down to around 2,000 water by the end of the bad tide. So we're still doing pretty darn good on water. We're not really even getting close to running out. We'll see how it goes during the next drought. I'm not really concerned about us running out of water, but if we do end up running a little bit low by the end of that drought, then we can always just bump this guy up to have 3 workers in here, and that should be able to get us to replenish our stores pretty darn quickly. And we're starting to have some of the injured beavers hanging out over here. I just bumped up the medical beds on the priority list, and then we did get our second bot, so we can switch this guy from beavers to bots. And then we might actually just about be done with stuff that the beavers can work on. They just finished constructing all this dynamite. So what we could do, since we don't have a lot that they are going to be building at the moment, let's actually pause this builder's hut. And since we are running a bit short on wood, we can unpause all of these guys. Now we are still running a little bit short on wood. We have been constructing quite a few buildings that do require logs. So it makes sense that our wood stores are not going up a whole lot. Plus we do have 4 of these lumber mills running. And thankfully we have a good amount of trees that have been planted. But we're going to be getting through all of these guys pretty quickly. Especially once the bots start hopping in these lumberjack flags. And I'm a little concerned that we're going to be experiencing a bit of a wood shortage if we continue to grow at this rate. What I'm thinking that we need to do is get some more trees planted. This is kind of one of the few areas that we have left. We could get some contamination barriers set up over here and then plant some more trees down in this section, which is an option. I'm not a huge fan of it. We could also wait till we get the dirt excavator and then start building this out, add in some dirt, and then we could add in some trees. I think we'll start going over here. We'll get some sort of irrigation system set up. We can go maybe in the middle here, and then that should spread to this section. We'll probably need to lower part of this, and then the irrigation should go down to this level as well. So if we just add in a few stairs, then we can have the forester plant up this top section and then also plant up the bottom area. On the bright side, we do have fewer unoccupied jobs. We only have 5 right now. We should probably max out our hauling post. We've had that at 8 for a while, so now we can have a full 10 beavers in there. And then we're at 1.3 thousand science, so things are looking good there. We'll need to save up because eventually we can replace this guy. We'll have these 2 beavers kicked out, and then we can put some bots in there. Oh, this poor beaver. So he has maxed out his logs, and now he is manually bringing all the wood into this storage. So we should get a small pile. In fact, we might even get a couple of those. We'll make sure those are set to supply to other warehouses. We'll have them set to logs and prioritized by haulers, because the haulers are just much more efficient in moving all the logs, so we can get that set up. And that is where we're going to wrap up today's episode. We honestly got a little bit farther along than I was expecting. We have all these buildings completely set up, and we actually have 5 bots now. We have 1 more free job, which is in the lumberjack flag, but we could probably switch some of these guys to be bots. So let's do that one right here. And now we have a beaver who needs a job, so we can unpause the builder's hut. And in the next episode, we are going to unlock the dirt excavator. It does cost 2,000 science, but we have the perfect spot for it right here. There's not a whole lot of places where you can place a building as big as this. And then soon we will have dirt in this world, so we can start saving it up for when we eventually get over here and start doing some terraforming. As you can see, we do have a good amount of beavers in this world now. We have 82 adults and 2 children, and then we only have 3 vacant jobs. The bots still have 2 vacant jobs, but our incapacitated beavers are also going down. We only have 6 now. So switching all of these bot part factories to be bots is definitely helping out. Maybe in the next episode we can get the bot assembler switched over from beavers to bots. And lastly, it looks like we're doing pretty good on power. We have about 3,500 that's being produced out of the 2,500 that we need. So between all these water wheels, we added in 4 more, plus these windmills. Those are all producing a good amount of power. And then also once we get dirt unlocked, we can maybe get this connected in the next episode. I'm guessing it'll probably be 2 more episodes before we get here. But then we can add in even more water wheels, and then we can start building out the aqueduct over here. So if any of that seems interesting to you, be sure to check out some of these future episodes. The end result of this build is going to be super cool. I don't have everything planned out yet, but I have a good idea of where we're heading, and you guys are not going to want to miss it. So if you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. It really does mean a lot to me, and it does help the channel out tremendously. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.